In the immortalized words of Big E, don't you dare be sour. It's the Wrestling Old Head. You have entered the portal of pro wrestling. Last night, the talk of the internet wrestling community, the 2025 Royal Rumble, promised to be something huge, promised to be one of the best Royal Rumbles ever, if not ever. Did it deliver? We're going to talk about that. I'm about to break this down like a shotgun. But before I do, make sure that you guys hit the like button, smash that like button so hard that it walks funny in the morning, and get the notifications bell, because you never know when I'm going to be dropping something pertaining to professional wrestling, something that I've loved since I was a little boy, since I was a baby boy. So a lot to go over from last night's WWE Royal Rumble. So much to talk about, so much to get into. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to go in chronological order. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but we're going to have fun here. I thought that it was a fascinating show. First of all, over 4 hours, only 4 matches. WWE is definitely like leaning into the whole sports entertainment thing. I will say that much. That's a small sack of professional wrestling for a large crate's worth of entertainment. But the matches that happened were great matches. They were, in my opinion, pay-per-view worthy for this PLE. Definitely worth the price of admission as far as that goes. I witnessed a rare murder last night. I've never seen somebody take an Alabama slam through a ladder the way that Kevin Owens did last night against Cody Rhodes. And that was a very intriguing WWE ladder match. I mean, I think Kevin Owens is one of the best sellers of all time. I was sitting there and I noticed the whole time I was sitting there, I was like, holy shit. Like, it had this intensity about it. The entire match, it had an intensity about it that reminded me of true rivalries. And you know these guys are friends, but they are making a believer out of me that there is real animosity there, and it's what they're putting on in the ring. And I think it's a testament to that. I think we're seeing a situation where Kevin Owens is on another level than I've ever seen him as far as character work goes. They're reeling other people in. They're threading this all in. This is just like the smoke clearing from the entire Bloodline story that's still going on to this day. I mean, we have not seen Solo, and we haven't seen Randy Orton return either. There's this match between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes can be considered the genesis of Cody Rhodes' heel turn in the future. We could look back on this and go, this is when it started, right? We can also go back and look at this is when we were going. This is the start of getting Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn back together again, or reigniting their rivalry, right? Or the start of Randy Orton really becoming the Viper. So many story details just within that match alone, and we haven't gotten to the Royal Rumble. So Cody Rhodes wins that match. I thought it was stellar. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it hit its mark. If you're going to do something crazy in a match, if you're going to do something that is insane, and they had a couple of big spots like that, then you want to sell them as story beat moments so they're etched in your brain, so there's time to breathe. I think it was the fireman's carry, or I think it was a uranagi or something like that Kevin Owens did on the ladder with Cody Rhodes, where Cody Rhodes bounced off the ladder and looked like he passed out, and the referee was going to check him. That's something that they gave it enough time to breathe to where it's a memory now. And the same with the Alabama slam off the table through the ladder, and the way that Kevin Owens contorted. I mean, there's a lot of people that I was watching on social media. A lot of people believe he was legit hurt. There's reports now that Cody Rhodes was hurt. He couldn't even be at the press conference. So And herein lies a situation that I also want to get into. I did want to discuss the Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens match and how much that I liked it, just as a starter, because I wanted to get that out of the way, because now I want to get into the nitty-gritty about what I'm noticing, not only from the internet wrestling community, but just in general from people that are taking away the results of the eponymous matches that happened at the Royal Rumble last night. The internet wrestling community in the last 20 years have been spending their entire time trying to get ahead of reports, spoilers. They want to know what's going to happen before it happens. And then when they know what happens, they want to pick it apart as well as it's happening. They're hard to please, and they're hard to shock. They're hard to sway, and they're hard to surprise, right? They're hard to surprise. They want to know what's going to happen, and they spend all their time guessing what's going to happen. And if it doesn't go their way, then there's going to be a little pushback. Look, I'm a part of the internet wrestling community. I was a part of the first internet wrestling community, for God's sakes. I was a part of Grandstand Pro Wrestling that was on AOL. I was a part of CompuServe wrestling chat rooms, Microsoft. I've been a part of the wrestling community since it was pretty much incepted. And I've seen it all. And I've seen some very smart, very talented people try to get ahead of things, try to give their insight on matches. Most of them are fans. Most of them are aficionados. Most of them like to call themselves experts. So I say all that to say, if you have an opportunity to fool them, and to fool them in a way that's better for your business, that doesn't hurt your business, right? That really puts your business on a different level as far as sales, as far as attention, as far as marketability, as far as promotion, then you should do it, right? I mean, you should pull the trigger on that more often than not. I have witnessed in the last 5 years, I have witnessed AEW and the WWE miss out on moments that they should have pulled the trigger on. LA Knight, yeah, the Street Profits, okay? The Acclaimed, Wardlow, Darby Allin, CM Punk versus Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. Off the top of my head. But one of the biggest ones was the opportunity with Jey Uso. Jey Uso, in my opinion, is basically 2008 Jeff Hardy over right now. He's in that stratosphere of being over. The crowd loves him. The kids are participating. There's a system that has been created of Jey Uso lovers, and it has been created for those that have followed the story of Jey Uso. If you have been paying attention to Jey Uso's story arc through the Bloodline story, where he started doubting himself and Roman used psychological trauma to use him as a lackey, and the crowd was fighting for him to stand up for himself and break away from the shackles that Roman Reigns had put him in, for him to finally do that with a super kick, get his brother back, and then fight to separate himself from the throes of that Bloodline stable. That is a 4 to 5 year story arc for Jey Uso to get to this point. And those that have been faithful to that story, that have been paying attention since day one to that story, got their reward. No different than if anybody would have been watching a television show story arc where they like this character and there's analytics and real data behind the fact that they like this character. Towards the end of season 7, they finally get to see that guy or that girl or that person, that individual, get their just desserts. And we're seeing that with Jey Uso. And I understand that there are fans that like a particular wrestling style. They like a particular promo ability, right? But there's a certain point where in the pantheon of successful professional wrestlers, they haven't always checked all the boxes, okay? They haven't. I mean, the truth is, they haven't always been the greatest in the ring or the greatest on the mic, but there's a certain je ne sais quoi that allowed them to stand amongst the greats, if only for a moment, if only for a snapshot. Jey Uso looking across from Cody Rhodes at one point and saying, "Until we yeet again." Also knowing that in the back of his mind, he has a chance to gain a measure of revenge on Gunther for the loss on Saturday night's main event, going 0-3 to Gunther, and coming out and saying, "I know I can beat him." This really is Jay's 2008 Jeff Hardy era. And if he's going to be called main event Jey Uso, he's going to need these big wins. It's really that simple to come along on that ride. It is not for everybody, and I totally understand that. Fans of like great wrestling are not going to like this idea. They're not going to be a fan of what is going on with this Jey Uso story arc. But those that have paid attention are in for a real treat to finally get what they wanted out of this story, which was Jey Uso to really step out of the shadows and be his own man. And all joking aside about the whole internet wrestling community stuff, this is the exact sort of fantasy booking we all do in our heads. But for years, the wrestling companies have been too cowardly to pull the trigger on. And it's refreshing for me. It really is. I mean, when it came down to Cena and Jey Uso, I wasn't even torn. I just knew Cena was going to win. I was like, well, Cena's winning this one. And for Jey to win, it was great because in this Royal Rumble, of all Royal Rumbles, you have a situation where there's so much animosity. There are bitter rivalries abound here. And there's a wrestler that hasn't had the best record, that has been in and out of professional wrestling, working on movies. But you've got Logan Paul, who eliminated CM Punk for a reason here, okay? CM Punk just got done on Friday joking with Kevin Owens. Well, at least I didn't lose to Logan Paul. Oof, that's stiff. I mean, that's foreshadowing if I've ever heard of it. There was a reason that Logan Paul eliminated CM Punk now. Logan Paul has a way to talk shit. And he is one of the most hated guys in the WWE right now for personal reasons. For very personal reasons. They see him off camera. They see him in his personal life on the public side of things, and they fucking hate him. And so CM Punk getting eliminated by Logan Paul, that's going to make Logan Paul more hated because of how beloved CM Punk is. That's a lot of heat right there. You've got Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. So much hatred for one another. So much hatred for one another. There's so much story. There's more story involved with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins than there is in the entire Bloodline arc. I'm talking about a 10 to 12 year story arc between Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins that is never going to go away. They are forever feuding. And they will more than likely forever be tied to one another. You've got that. That's been building up for a long time. Ever since Seth Rollins refused to join War Games, we knew that eventually Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns were going to have to air that shit out. And now after that double stomp from Seth Rollins, where he was basically double stomped him like he was a Goomba, like this was fucking Super Mario Brothers, that 2-footed stomp, wow. That was amazing. So you got all of these rivalries, you got all of these problems that are staring right at us. And because of their animosity with one another, they all get eliminated. So you got a legend in Cena who hasn't been doing it full time, who looked out of his element, who looked a step off, with an opportunistic moment to take advantage of these rivalries and get what's owed to him. And you've got a Jey Uso who has been riding momentum for a long time. Pat McAfee does his dance. Michael Cole does his dance. Travis Scott was out there doing his dance. He was out there with Quavo. He's got a hip-hop community that is riding with him right now. He's got an aura. I mean, the Fireflies, he's got the Fireflies, for crying out loud. They are now on the side of main event Jey Uso. Another guy who I feel like they missed the boat on was Bray Wyatt. Rest in peace. 100%. Could have been doing a whole lot more at the WWE. They even let him go. So many missed opportunities. This is an opportunity. I'm glad they didn't miss out on it. He's not going to have a 5-star match. He didn't have the best match last year at WrestleMania where he wrestled Jimmy Uso in a Ryu versus Ken Street Fighter type of a match. But here's the thing. 75,000 people are going to be screaming for Jey Uso when he comes out to vie for the world championship, whichever championship he chooses. That much is for certain. And then Drew McIntyre, eliminated by Damian Priest. And there's this whole story about Drew McIntyre being pissed off. Look, if he really is, fine. Drew McIntyre doesn't take me as a guy that's a real locker room terror. There was a story when CM Punk returned at the Survivor Series. He stormed off in public. He walked down the ramp, stormed off, went into the back. They said he made a couple of cuss words, grabbed his bags, and then he just left. And everybody was reporting, guys, this is serious. This is for real. This has nothing to do with the story. Drew McIntyre was pissed off that CM Punk was a part of this and didn't like it at all. Guess what it turned out to be? The fucking feud of the year for the WWE. Okay? So if he's not working us, it seems very familiar. That's all I'm going to say. It seems very familiar. It seems like we're hearing the same story that we heard at the Survivor Series from Drew McIntyre. And I like it. I like it. The WWE is finally realizing what they can do to work the internet, which was something that, I mean, real wrestling fans, old historic wrestling fans, old crippled, rocking chair bound wrestling fans like myself, we were waiting for that opportunity for a wrestling company to go, let's work the marks. Let's work the smart marks. Let's work the media. The media arguably is at its strongest right now. There are so many different journalists. There are people that are quote unquote journalists. There are people that have been journalists their whole lives. There are new journalists. There are so many different reporters coming out from the woodworks, even social media, YouTube creators. Everybody is just coming out of the woodworks. Let's work them all. When AEW was at its apex, in my opinion, in 2021, and then going into 2022, there was a moment where I thought they were going to really start playing on the fact that there's locker room problems and turn it into an angle. I was optimistic for months. I thought that it was like, for real, I thought that the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and CM Punk were going to get back together, work things out, and turn this whole thing into a great angle that the fans could buy, and we could wonder what's going on in the locker room because we won't know what's true. I thought that they were going to capitalize on that. I really wholeheartedly did. When I heard the stuff about Sammy Guevara and the Hardys, when I heard the stuff about Andrade and Sammy Guevara and Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, that they even turned into a reality show, I believe. I didn't really watch it. When I started to see all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, turn that into an angle. That would be awesome. You know, like real animosity in the locker room. It'll make for better, more dramatic matches in the ring. Get us to believe that they really hate each other. It never happened. It was all true. It was all true. They really, it was really bad. But the WWE has an opportunity to capitalize on getting the audience to wonder if what they're seeing is real or not. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't buy the animosity between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk after a while. After a while, I started to check out. It didn't seem like they really hated each other. I wasn't believing the acting that they were giving me. It seemed like they were having a great time, though. It seemed like they were having a great time, and the matches were great. It's still my feud of the year, but I didn't buy it. I didn't buy that they really hated each other in the ring. CM Punk and Seth Rollins, oh, I buy that shit. Yeah, I buy that shit. There's something in there because it looks real. It feels real. Same with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. When they get in the ring together, I feel that shit. CM Punk and Kevin Owens, I feel that shit. CM Punk and Sami Zayn, I feel that too. I think they can do some real good stuff with that. It's just me, Oos. I love that. It's divided an entire wrestling community, and I love that because it gets people to feel something. Everybody wants to be able to predict something. It was awesome to not be able to predict it. It was awesome to not see it coming. And I loved that. I think Sam, not Sam Wrestling, I think he was the one that predicted Jey Uso. I saw that. That's an awesome call right there. That's an awesome call. I didn't see it coming. I don't know anybody that I watch regularly or look at on the social media that ever accurately predicted that. I thought it was a great call. Great call. Because I did not see that coming. So yeah, let them work you. It's more fun to not know what's going to happen. Take it from someone that grew up in an era in the 90s where you had no idea what was going to happen. To see Scott Hall walking down the steps in the crowd and get in the ring and say, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Like, I thought he was a WWF superstar. I was completely bought in. And I know a lot of people that were. And at the time on the internet, there wasn't a whole lot of information regarding that. So let's let them cook. Let's have a good time. It throws some unpredictability into the product, and that's not a bad thing. Now we've got one of the most talked about Royal Rumbles behind us, and we have potentially the most stacked Elimination Chamber in a long time. Because we know Jey Uso's punching his ticket to go to WrestleMania. He can only challenge one champion, whether it be Codelander, Cody Rhodes, or Gunther. And there's history with both. Most assuredly so. He could choose Cody Rhodes. That is not a foregone conclusion that he chooses Gunther. Even though he said he's choosing Gunther, hey man, you never know. And Gunther could get in his head. Gunther could come out and start talking all kinds of shit, try and get in Jey Uso's head. Jey Uso can come out and talk to both Gunther and Cody Rhodes before he makes his decision. It is not a foregone conclusion that we see Jey Uso against Gunther at WrestleMania. And who knows what happens with Gunther's title reign between now and WrestleMania. That is the exciting stuff, man. That's what gets the people talking. I don't dare put out a WrestleMania predictions match lineup for now. I'm not doing the video for that not right now at all. I mean, I might. It might be some fun stuff, but I mean, what's going to happen? Some other great moments that happened at the Royal Rumble. Charlotte Flair won the Royal Rumble. Another polarizing pick there. A lot of people not happy with that. When I look at who's in front of her, you got Rhea Ripley, you got Tiffany Stratton. A lot of people tend to look at Tiffany Stratton and go, foregone conclusion, Tiff and Charlotte Flair. I would not be so quick to pull the trigger on that either. Rhea Ripley beat Charlotte Flair a couple of years ago, or a few years ago at least, at WrestleMania. There is no other opponent for Rhea Ripley currently that I would buy as a WrestleMania main event. I mean, they could throw her in the ring with Io Sky with no story at all. They can reignite that match with Liv Morgan and do it one more time at WrestleMania. Sure, absolutely, you can do all of that. But there is no formidable opponent with a story set up for Rhea Ripley right now. There is for Tiffany Stratton. There is. Nia Jax. It's not something you guys want, but it's a story. Nia goes out for revenge. So you got Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, and you got Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. It's possible, guys. That's what I'm saying. You might not like the fact that Charlotte won the Royal Rumble. And you might feel that it makes more sense to put her against Tiffany Stratton. But I'm telling you, as far as story, as far as like building up, there is more there with Charlotte and Rhea than there is with Tiffany Stratton. And maybe they want Charlotte as a heel. Look at the reaction she got when she came out. She wasn't getting the pop that Alexa Bliss got. She didn't get it. She got a reaction for sure. But she didn't get that pop that Trish Stratus got either. So, wouldn't be so quick, you know? I saw that CM Punk, he had a nod to the Flair 1992 Royal Rumble elimination when he dumped out Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins like Flair dumped out Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice. I thought that was nice. With the Street Profits showing more attitude the way that they did in the tag match for the 2 out of 3 falls match, you have to believe that a Bianca Belair heel turn is also possible. You have to think about that in the back of your head, because if Naomi turns up attacked backstage, do not be surprised. And I would look at Belair as the prime suspect. The way that she reacted when Naomi and Jordynne Grace were having their little like powwow together, and Bianca Belair threw Grace out and was like, "What are you doing? We trying to throw people out of here. What's going on?" That's something to pay attention to. Everybody knows her relationship with Montez Ford. Montez Ford goes heel, Bianca Belair might not be far behind. I would pay attention to that. Same with Becky when she returns. What Seth Rollins did to Roman Reigns is not going to be liked. The universe is not going to like that, the WWE universe. So I would say pay attention to Becky Lynch's return as well. So at the end of the day, we're all marks at heart who watch wrestling because we love it and love nothing more than the feeling of having our beliefs suspended and fully marking out. It's a great feeling to feel like a mark just lapping everything up, and it doesn't happen often, but it makes all this other bullshit worth it when it does. So remember that, you guys. It's cool to be surprised, it's cool to not see something coming, and it's cool to enjoy the ride. Paul Levesque in the PLE, the Paul Levesque era, has done everything he can to assure us it's in the right hands, guys. I know what the fuck I'm doing. He's given us that. He let Cody finish his story. He's doing great things with the bloodline. Look at what he's doing with Jacob Fatu. He's letting him cook. Look at how he's presenting Shinsuke Nakamura. Look at how he presents Braun Breaker. There's a lot there that should be focused on, but there's also a lot there that it's working. So let him cook. All right? I don't think it's time to hit the panic button just yet. And I don't know about you guys, but I want to see Sheamus team up with Joe Hendry. Because that'll be awesome. That would be awesome. Sheamus and Joe Hendry in a tag match, at least on a Raw, would be... yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised. I've had a video about that before. I wouldn't be surprised if you see John Cena show up in TNA. But other than that, guys, we've got WWE Raw coming up on Monday. It's in Cleveland, Ohio. I wish I could have went to that one. It's going to be exciting. We're going to see a lot of things fold out. The fallout from WWE Raw is going to happen. I would say let's see what happens and how this plays out for the week. They got a lot there. They got a lot to tie in. Are we seeing Punk, Rollins, and Reigns? I know they're going to be a part of the Elimination Chamber. Where is Randy Orton at in all of this? Is there real animosity between Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest? What are the conditions of Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes coming out of the Royal Rumble? All of this and so much more. You guys stick with me, and I'll make sure that you get my full opinion, full truth, full honesty, full transparency as only I can, because once you enter the portal of pro wrestling, you got to stay tuned for more.